Hey, I gotta check it out. I'm gonna check it out because I got my boys. I gotta talk to my boys tonight. Let's see if I got them. Let's see.
People don't appreciate that checking things out is a profession, a professional podcasting position in this day and age.
Offseason On the Brink, 723. That's us.
After just recently having just a terrible issue with our sound, we're not gonna have two straight. No, you don't skip ads.
I had to.
All right. You of course have my blessing to skip ads.
Hello.
Okay.
No audio. I can't hear.
Test. We're getting audio to there.
Can't hear it on my phone.
Is your volume turned up?
My volume is turned up.
Test. Oh, look, you got it on mute.
Do I have it on mute?
No, you don't. I'm watching myself try to hear myself.
And it won't work. If you guys are jumping on, let's see. Is anybody just? I think somebody just jumped on.
Yeah, I don't think
anyone
can hear
us?
yet. We're
Can't hear you
we're
guys.
gonna fix the sound. Don't you worry. It's gonna be just fine.
Do you have the iRig still hooked up?
Yeah, everything's.
You have it hooked up to the phone. Should you pull it out of the phone?
Should I?
Yes, I think you should pull it out of the phone.
And put it back in?
Oh, you need that for the video.
Yeah, that's what connects the
What
sound.
about whatever you did
to the phone
earlier? Oh, why wouldn't it be working?
Well,
Robert Cohen says I can hear you guys.
Yeah, it's just your phone, dude.
Audio
Wait, Kevin, can you give us a second checker outer?
John Tier said sound is good.
We are good.
Thank you, John.
See
Tier.
that now you know why you get the bonus material, as T has so prophetically said. This is why we give you the bonus scenes before the movie.
We had technical difficulties in our last show, so
never again.
Never again. Appreciate it, guys. John Tier's on.
What's up, JT?
What's up, boy?
Who else we got?
AGH, Robert Cohen, James Rainey, Eric Anderson.
Appreciate you guys.
The band's back together.
I hope you guys live close enough to like all meet up somewhere for a beverage, whatever that beverage is.
From Wales.
Well, we're gonna.
He wants to come to town this
year.
He has been to town before.
I believe Eric Anderson said he grew up here, but now lives in California.
What would be like the Comic-Con version of the Audible at a sports bar somewhere? I mean, and I kind of got a feeling James has got a really good answer for that.
James is
not Comic-Con, but like the Audible Con. I don't know what that is.
I was right about Eric.
Where is he?
Robert Cohen is in Southeast Virginia, Hampton Roads.
Close enough.
Oh, nice.
Close enough. Close enough for an Audible Con. We got to have a better word than that. I mean, Comic-Con, you can't just steal Comic-Con. Maybe Comic Audible? I don't know. I feel like I can't even talk to you anymore. You're just always texting people.
It was Griff.
I know.
And
I
was just giving the... But I think it's...
AGH is going to be here for the 49ers game.
What's the date?
Throw it out there.
Flights are getting booked next week.
Bang.
What week is that? We play the 49ers. Alex Smith will not be facing his old team. In what week?
Norrell Reuben Foster. That's what we're trying to... If we're trying to like dilly-dally around...
But I think we should at least have Alex Smith be the honorary captain that night.
AGH?
No, Alex Smith and AGH, of course.
Yeah, if AGH is coming from Wales, but trust me,
I think Alex Smith should get on AGH's back as he carries him out to the coin toss.
The only thing I've ever gotten out of the Redskins has not been for me
work
ever.
On that, Andrew.
And it wasn't a lot, T. I've not gotten for myself anything, zero squash from the Washington Redskins, but I did get a hat for a guy once. We had a reader and a listener who was up against it, and may he rest in peace. I think he had Lyme disease, and he was just his life got progressively worse. But he was a big time Joe. Everyone remembers Joe. He was a big time Hogs Haven guy, and we need to remember him more. He had cool things to say, and God, he worked his butt off to say them because he had to. So I reached out to the Redskins. It's like, you got this guy. He's a diehard fan, and he's not in a good spot. He's up against it, and it's not going to be much longer. Man, they gave him a freaking hat. They sent him like a package that had a hat in it, and I thought, literally, I didn't know. I just passed it along. I called the highest guy I knew, And, man, I thought that was terrible. I mean, you can do better than a hat.
Well, again, I'm going to give you a new cause. Robert,
What do you got?
he's 54 now.
Really?
Yeah. He has been a Redskins fan his entire life since he was 7 years old. He's never been to a game, preseason or other.
I would recommend a preseason game because I mean, come to a game, any game you can come to get a game in, but the tailgate, I mean, to me, at this point in my life, for Redskins fanery, it's the tailgate.
Are preseason tailgates better than
They can be.
regular season tailgates?
They have been. I mean, I went to, you know what, let's go on live and we'll just kick it right off with some preseason talk.
Hold on. What's our schedule on October 20th?
October 20th? That sounds like I'm getting ready
So
for
the
Halloween.
so the 19th for our high school stuff. That's my question.
Oh, I got it right here. I forgot. Yoink! October 20th. We have a Saturday, October 19th, DeMatha Catholic High School at Gonzaga College High School in a rematch of the greatest high school football game you've ever seen or heard of.
And I would like to personally
ever.
invite AGH to be at that
you got to get in
ridiculousness.
town at least
Come.
It's across the street from Union Station where we met up last summer,
it's on the
brother.
Right
Saturday
there.
before.
That's Saturday,
You got to
October
come on
19th,
Friday
2
night,
p.m.
man. Come Friday
Two,
night.
two top 10 high school football teams in the United States
in
of
our
America.
country, and they are
Top 15,
worth the price of admission. That's what we got. You want to know? I've got some other dates here, but yeah, you just picked a date. You just happened to land on the rematch of the greatest high school football game in the history of high school football.
Bang.
Whatever.
Actually
All
heard
DC.
Robert just throwing this out there on the radio today. You can actually buy a ticket the day of the game for $10 at the game.
If he comes to that high school game,
No, at Redskins.
oh yeah. Don't buy a ticket in advance for Redskins. But if you come to a high school game that we're calling,
You're
trust
in
me,
for free.
we're hooking you up. Trust me. All right, let's go. Let's get going here. We got the hot box coming up after this, boys. Little basketball talk, and then the Nat shift thereafter.
Late night Nat shift.
It's Tuesday nights.
Nat shift on the night shift.
We've just, you know,
Wow.
Holy
we've
crap.
reinvented Tuesdays. And thank you so much for hanging
That's
out with us.
trademarked,
Here we go.
by the way.
It is, yeah, patent pending. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo from the heart of Kensington. He's Tim Stragan.
Man, let's get this going. I love this.
He's
Get
Kevin Ricca.
closer, man.
I love when you guys wear burgundy and gold right before we get up and at it. Let's have at it. Here
Thank
we
you
go.
so
Scheduled
much to Hogs Haven for having us. Appreciate you guys checking us out and listening to us. I got to do a better job of getting this show up on the site at Hogs Haven. Help me out. Remind me. Be like, hey, man, the show's not up. Because you guys actually drive it. We were talking before the audio show started. We were talking about preseason tailgates, and Robert has not yet been to a Redskins game. If this was 1982, 3 or 4, and the Redskins were playing at RFK and the Hogs were in their heyday and John Riggins was busting heads, I would tell you to drop everything and get immediately to the stadium to watch a Redskins game. But now, I'm going to say let's be more strategic about it. Let's just not go to any old game. And I would target a tailgate. I think the tailgating, that's you got to hook yourself. Because you can't count on the Redskins to hook you because they might just drop a Mark Sanchez on you one day out of nowhere and you might show up and you're
He
like,
retired.
oh my God.
No more talk of this. I'd like to kick him directly somewhere.
Yes.
That's all.
He deserves it.
I think
He
sometimes
does.
Ken just loves misery. Sometimes
I
that's why he
don't.
brings this shit up.
I don't love it, but I don't deny its existence. I don't ignore it. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we are. We have to bring it up because you know what? It makes the
It's
greatness
like lashing yourself
greatnesser.
in a way.
It makes the greatness greatnester. Yeah, no, it is. It is. It's very
Stop.
I think you like to do that.
It's very Opus Dei of me.
I
You're a
knew
weird
that was
guy. That's
coming,
why you
and I
do
knew
this.
that
You're a
was
weird guy.
coming. I knew both was coming. It's like
Yeah.
a tennis match that you saw 10 years ago. I think I've seen this one.
He's gotten creepy twice tonight. That's all. Once in the last
Now
show.
Ken's
Already
beating himself
once
with a
in the
tennis
show.
racket at the Heights.
That's a whole different show, by the way. Your confusing podcast. That's the Thursday night show, and it is, by the way, acclaimed.
Religiously acclaimed.
There's a lot of acclaim
Not
to
in
go
our,
around.
not in our church.
Robert,
Different church.
if you're going to go to a Redskins game anytime soon, first of all, let us know. And second of all, come early and enjoy yourself in the parking lot. Check it out, walk around, get some good food, play some Beirut, listen to some great music, get pumped up. I always tell these guys, there's a group of people for whom I've only ever seen before Redskins games, famously, the Dead Tree Crew and some of the guys in the F lot. we're like the greatest friends ever. You'd think we'd known each other our whole lives. You'd think we were brothers. You'd think we lived in the same house
You don't
for 50
see
years.
any of these people outside of tailgating.
outside of
Redskins.
before the game.
Tailgates.
So that's
You
my
don't
pre.
even see them in the game.
That's not even in the.
Or at a bar,
Not even in the
at the
tailgate.
game.
This is my tailgate.
Not even on Facebook.
My
There's specific rules.
Yes,
to
this is my Zoolander tailgate.
Weird guy.
This is a tailgate that happens outside the gates at like 6 a.m. from 6 a.m. to like 9 a.m. And it's amazing. It's the greatest feeling in the world because literally the Redskins have never just lost after getting together with these fine folks. And so if you're going to come to a Redskins game, enjoy yourself. Take a little bit of the responsibility for that enjoyment because you don't know what you're going to get from Dan Snyder, but you do know what you're going to get from guys like us and people like us, fellow Redskins fans. It's going to be a great time.
But I'm interested.
Focus on that.
Why did you say he should go to a preseason game
Well,
earlier? Yeah, this is before we hit record.
so I always had the thought of because you get 2 preseason home games.
Kevin doesn't even think preseason games are actual
Yeah,
games.
forget about that. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the preseason tailgate.
He's having
Does
convulsions.
anyone have my medicine?
So preseason tailgating is all about trying some new
I'm
things,
getting a headache.
getting ready.
I'm curious for this answer.
You got to tailgate in the preseason like you're going to tailgate in the regular season. So we come prepared in the preseason games, and we tailgate like as if we were coming to a December game. We get there
Do
early.
you guys have a post huddle and figure out what you did wrong and correct it for the
Well, you
regular
want to
season?
get this. You're going to line up the spots where
I'm
the
going to have
car's
a
going
post
to go.
huddle after this show. I'm going to tell you exactly where it went wrong.
You got to break out the equipment back again. Is the grill working? You got to
Like
figure out the
Ted
music
said,
situation,
welcome.
lighting, the whole nine. Everything is coming back out in August.
Lighting. You definitely have to get that.
Thank you.
I'm glad you
Kevin.
could get all this off your chest and ass as,
Yes.
as fast
By
as
the
you
way,
could.
you'd much rather talk about tailgate lighting than preseason football. Can we disagree on that at least?
No, that's fair. I'd much rather talk about,
It's close.
all right. It's
Hey,
it's
everybody
fair,
on the
but
board.
it's not fair.
Everybody on the board is agreeing with Ken
About what?
Oh,
going to a preseason game.
Yeah,
It's-
well,
it's-
everyone on the board is wrong. Sorry, guys. I love all of you.
For the party.
Just trust
For
me.
the party.
Just like,
I don't
well,
know.
For the party is
I'm
fine.
I'm open-minded, and I'm thinking about taking your all's advice and maybe going to a preseason game.
I've done it. I've done it
the
multiple
preseason
times.
game itself is terrible,
Maybe you didn't do it
except
right.
for if you got to be
Maybe
willing
you
to
didn't
stay
listen
there.
to Ken.
So can I? Okay, so Kevin, maybe you'll at least appreciate this part because I do have my preseason.
I've never taken a blow up doll on a date, by the way. I'm just telling
my
you that.
strategy
'Cause this is how I feel
This
about
is
it.
where it gets
Yeah.
weird, guys.
is the preseason for the football fan for football fans like us. We appreciate guys in the preseason who get a ton of reps. The guys who get the most reps in the preseason, guess what? Most of them aren't making the team. So we fall in love with running backs and linebackers and cornerbacks that have no chance of making the team. But when do they play? Third and fourth
Mason
quarter.
Brennan, right?
Mason Brennan. Third and fourth quarter of preseason games, especially the second and fourth game. And so I do like to stay and watch the second half of games because I do like to watch the whole sideline go crazy because some no-name undrafted free agent scored a touchdown against some no-name guys on the other side of the ball, and
Welcome,
everyone
Wade.
gets nuts. It's just fun. That part of it is fun to me, and that's part of the that to me is that shows like the team part of it.
Yeah. So my godson went to his first preseason game, and he saw Darius Guice carry the ball once, and he came home, and I told him, just take this.
Don't
you
get
just don't
hurt.
get hurt. You just take this to the preseason game, and it's like John 3:16
Yeah.
defense, and don't get hurt. How do you root for someone to play football when you don't want them to get hurt? When we know what our roster is, we know exactly what it's going to be. I don't know if there's one battle that's going to come out between one of the four stringers like there used to be.
There used to be.
It's just a sad part of who we were because the game has changed so much. When we were young and we knew what was going on, you kept guys like Mark Rippon for 6 years before he starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Babe Laufenberg.
Yes.
That's why I hate preseason football, because I used to love it.
I know.
And Babe
it's different
Laufenberg
now.
would lead us back to victory, and
was
everyone would
so
have a
much
cold
fun. And they
beer,
played 5 and
everyone's
6
dad
games.
was happy, and it was great shit.
I believe we have a question from
Okay.
Robert. I believe it's a question. He goes, Mason Brennan. Explain.
Mason Brennan, Colt Brennan, Mason, Marcus Mason. It's an award we give out at Hogs Haven for the player that the fan base falls in love with the most. He has to be a 5th round or later draft
Yes.
pick. Make the team or not make the team. It's just our guy. Who's our guy?
I like this. I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. And I totally
Yeah.
agree with you about how the
Right.
importance of the preseason. I mean,
I think that's a big part of Ken's point earlier. Mason Brennan, it really kind of captures,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what
hell.
true football fans love about it. You're right. It's not the best football. It's not. It isn't Sundays in regular season. It's
That
just
part of it is
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And if I may,
And now that they can keep more guys throughout the entire preseason, I think it makes it a little.
And it
little
should
bit
be
more
even
cool.
more, and I agree.
if I may, as someone who has been at FedEx quite a few days, and someone who both attended games at RFK and I sold soft pretzels in high school at Redskins games at RFK. I'm familiar with the crowd at RFK, and I'm very familiar with the crowd at FedEx. And I'll tell you one thing: when we moved to FedEx Field, the crowd changed. Now that happens all over the country for all sports. When they move the stadium from this part of the world to this part of the world, and it changes. And FedEx Field, the crowd at Washington Redskins games changed, but preseason games for a long time, those are the people that got priced out by Dan Snyder in the late 90s and early 2000s. They could no longer afford season tickets, but what they could afford was preseason games. And the preseason crowd, more often than not, ended up being the most fun crowd that we had, that I had a chance to hang out with on the whole season. So that part of it to me was pretty cool. The people that were coming to the preseason games were the people that I remember from RFK. And they could no longer go to games in the new stadium because of what Dan Snyder did.
All right, well, let me just say this to you. As someone that also was a season ticket guy who, was a little lucky, my grandpa was the president of the Alumni Association in the 80s, but as someone who was also from East Deer Park and sold Vienna sausages and nerds, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with that part of it. My hatred of this has stemmed over the last 10 or so years as a fan with all the preseason crap that's happened to the team that I adore.
Yeah.
Football injuries, non-football injuries. I mean, D. Hall slipped towards Achilles again, making a pizza or some shit. And that was like
Was
57.
it Domino's? Because he can go get a new
It
one
was
if
like
he spilled the pizza.
no, he didn't
right,
get the
they can.
insurance then.
Insurance.
No, this insurance was on his Achilles, and it was coming out of our ass.
No one got Achilles
double
or ass
F
insurance.
on the insurance
exactly.
there.
It's exactly. Yeah, that was like no insurance. How about some of this? But I'm just telling you, Vienna sausages are underrated, and nerds, I'm done with those.
Did you ever go to training camp as a kid?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I did, and
no.
I think we've actually talked
I
about
know
it
we
on
have.
air at some point.
Yes,
I don't
we
know
have.
if it actually has been aired. I think it's in the vault.
That could be the vault.
Yeah.
But it's one of the greatest stories of all time.
Can we tell any part of it?
May I begin?
Yes. Come on. Let's just do a little
we need
teeny
to
part of it. at
rethink
least.
For our listeners here, this is just for you. This isn't for anyone else. This is for
Don't
us.
tell
I don't mean
anybody.
for you. This is for us.
Seriously, keep
This
this.
is for us. But George Michael was an icon around here, George Michael Sports Machine, but a bigger icon in our hearts around here was Ernie Bauer,
Yep.
producer and Redskins guy.
Has he been here?
Friend of the show, been on the show.
Ernie
Yeah.
Bauer has been on the show and is a great friend of ours. But listen, I'm talking about being at the Super Bowl and in charge of the chain gang, from producing everything that happened on the Jumbotron at the new stadium,
He's the guy
RFK's
behind-
finest.
He's the guy behind Let's Go to the Videotape.
He is, yes. Warner Wolf is
Yes.
Warner Wolf's producer. This guy's a legend around here, but just a great guy to hang out with and a friend of ours. And he invites T and I to go to training camp. And this is
Carlisle.
I think
This
I was
is, this
1
is
year
Dickinson
out.
College.
1 year out of my accident.
Carlisle,
from being in a
Pennsylvania.
wheelchair.
Yes, T. Strachan. We were pups.
We're young.
I want to say we were 19.
18, 19.
I want to say we were 19 years old. I also want to
Big
say
mistake.
that. So, for non-disclosure purposes, I will just say their names: Brett Strachan and Kevin August.
Let's say Kevin A.
The two of us.
and B.
Let's
Strachan.
just say there was way less Coors Lights in the world by the time we arrived in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. But Ernie Bauer brought us on the sidelines. We were a part of the whole day. We ate meals with the team. We did the whole shebang.
McDonald's, right?
We got Rennie Knott. We got George Michael. But we're with Ernie Bauer. Everyone's there. It's big time, man. Every part of it was huge. We were in love with what was happening until George Michael decided to intervene to Ernie's little shindig and bring over Gus Frerotte and Norv Turner, who, for everyone listening, work with me here, understand T's in a wheelchair with a physical disability. They must have believed it was mental. Due to the...
I was like, wait, what just happened? This must have been 97?
This was, I
97,
want to say
98?
it was 98, 99.
Yeah,
This is
it
the
was-
end of...
it was-
when was Norv done?
No, it was
Norv
90
was 97.
No, this was
Oh, I'm sorry.
95.
96.
96.
95,
96.
96. Yes.
Yeah.
We were 19. I said we're both born in 75, 2 weeks apart. I
Drafted Heath
apologize.
and Gus.
And all I know is Norv Turner comes over with... Now, Norv Turner wasn't known for his amazing skin. He also wasn't known for his dashing good looks.
No.
But what he was known for that day was saltiest visor in all the land.
Sweaty.
It was
nasty.
It was pulled off
visor.
of his own head.
Let me see your hat, Ken.
And we can, yeah, if you don't mind, this is how North Turner placed his visor on my good friend Tim Strachan.
For those on video, this is exactly how.
Coach North said, "Hi, Tim. It's great to meet you." And I mean, a 19-year-old is dying. I'm dying inside. I can't hold it. I'm like, it's gonna burst. It's gonna come. It's like a fart in church. You know, eventually it's over. And Gus Farrat comes over.
Geez.
Gus Farrat goes to
Who's
one.
a good man?
A good man. He goes to one knee. He goes, "Hi, Tim. Are you enjoying yourself today?" And at this point, I lose
A
it.
19-year-old
I lose
young
it.
man.
I turn around.
6'4", 300-pounder.
Put my back to our starting quarterback as a 19-year-old and stare directly into the eyes of T's oldest brother, Brett. At which point, he can't hold it. At which point, Kevin August can't hold it. And it is an explosion of laughter. Like, Gus must have just been like, what the hell? But
so
Gus was under the
embarrassing.
impression
You got
that,
it.
yes. Meanwhile, T. Strachan was like, better than Gus, like 5 minutes before that. I mean, the fact that T led the charge on what we could laugh at and what was funny at that time, and nothing was funny to me until T made it funny.
The best part was after that, and Norv goes inside, and they're all making fun of me, and like I feel like an idiot. Well, this white limo pulls up right next to us, and George Michael comes over and he goes, "Where's your hat?
What are you doing? Where's your hat?"
And I'm like, it's in my bag. And he goes, "Put it on. This is Norv's car." And I'm like, so I had to put the sweaty. No, I didn't. I held it in my hand like this.
If I
You did.
stoned
Because
You
it
held
was so
You held
nasty.
it. How do you get it out of your backpack?
And Norv comes out, and as he's getting in the car, I had to be like, "Thanks, Norv." It was hilarious, but
Norv. Still in the league, right? As recently, I feel like he's somewhere.
it was a great memory. So yes, I have been to preseason camp,
All right. Do you want to go to
and
Richmond?
then we'll live in infamy.
Would you ever go to Richmond?
Sure, Richmond's fun, dude. I would definitely go.
Did you go down to Richmond
do
for
it.
camp, Kev?
Let's do it.
Spend some time.
Yeah, you have spent some time in Richmond.
In the words of Joe Swanson, let's do it.
Richmond, by the way, has not been extraordinarily happy with their decision. Like the Redskins are like Darth Vader
Bone
in the
Secor.
negotiations.
Sorry. It was Dan Snyder and Bone Secor.
Dude, I when I went down to Richmond the first time when the Redskins were there for training camp, it was all like, "Oh, I hear. My understanding is you guys are like so excited that the Redskins saved your city from whatever was happening because what we're being told is that if the Redskins training camp wasn't here, there would be no Richmond." And like, meanwhile, I got this guy. His name was Gus at a bar called Gus's, who had renamed a sandwich that RG3 had ordered one day the RG3 because RG3 ordered it every day at training camp.
Is it terrible and
on
does it
Broad
fall
Street.
apart halfway through?
Well, it's pretty. It moves through you pretty fast. Let's just put it that way. But he was contacted by the team's lawyer, by RG3's lawyer,
Oh my
by
God.
RG3's agent. Oh yes, by the marketing department for the Washington Redskins.
Hello, is this Gus?
They were like, "You can't name a sandwich after RG3," and he's like, I just wrote it in chalk on this board over here. It's just like pastrami and cheese. Like, what do you want me to do?" They're like, "Well, you can't." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Meanwhile, the Redskins promised all of this stuff, and they have not delivered on. Last time I checked, I haven't been back in 2 seasons to follow up on that part of the story. But I'm not guessing Dan Snyder was always like, "Oh, by the way, all those things we promised you, here you go."
The best thing we brought to Richmond was McHenry for receiving. McVay was rattling him up. McVay was causing a stir.
Can you imagine some guy's been running a sub shop?
Yeah,
You know,
sorry.
an immigrant.
Gus,
from
I'd like to
Greece.
apologize, Gus.
Yes, Gus. I love Gus. He
Yes.
hosted. We had a Hogs
Yeah.
Not
Haven
the sub shop.
Yeah.
Just underneath 95.
There's a bar on Broad
or
Street.
66, is it?
bar on Broad Street called Gus's.
Okay.
And the guy was amazing. And
I had been told to stop at the dive place under 66, which I don't know the name of.
well, it's a college
Yeah, that's
town.
great.
Well,
They
Gus
got some
also
good
has a
ones.
new sandwich I've understood, Ken.
Yes, what is that one?
It's fairly delicious. It's called the Snyder, but at the end of it, Gus gives the guy a gigantic wedgie and just dunks him outside.
It just punches him square in the face.
Yeah, he does. In the
By the way,
James River
you
after the
ordered
wedgie. He's
Snyder,
done.
right?
It's finished.
I'm gonna have to roundhouse kick you to the throat.
Yeah. By the way, who would ever order this? Bitch.
You really stepped into this one.
Yeah. Welcome to Gus's.
What do we got, T? Has anyone stayed with us through any of this?
I'm not talking about that one.
All right. I'm guessing that was from James. Appreciate
People are
you.
enjoying themselves.
It
on
was
tonight's
sandwich related. You
podcast, I'll
got to give
say.
James a break, dude.
I do. I hope you guys are also
didn't
watching the
say
Nats
James.
take a 5-0 lead against the Colorado
I was talking to Ken.
Rockies.
I was talking to Ken.
I know. I got it. And AGH, by the way, what is it? It's 10. It's at 3 o'clock in the morning his time, roughly speaking. He's got a new prime minister across the pond to worry about. I mean, for goodness sake, the news.
Don't get him started.
Don't get
him
AGH started.
Yes.
I won't do it. I won't do it.
He deserves some peace and quiet
Yes,
this evening.
just take a break from the news. We're going to wrap things up tonight with just a little bit of talk about the preseason, not the preseason football, but the preseason. You kind of already broached
I liked
it.
your six-pack, by the way.
I appreciate that, man.
You're welcome.
I mean, it's camp time. There's
No,
nothing
it's
really.
juice is flowing, man.
Yeah, it's time to talk about
You're
the
right.
fact that we're
Back
doing
in the
stuff.
day, too, I didn't go to camp.
I didn't go to camp.
The only camp I went to was at
Maplewood.
Maplewood when I was a kid. It's the only camp I went to.
When the 1 year there I played football, it was every day. I mean, I appreciate that they don't make kids
Correct.
wear pads and helmets and
Kids should
practice
play
football every
outside
day.
more.
But we practice every day, which to me it seems ludicrous. But I never. Did you go away to camp?
Oh, no, I walked 100 yards to the local public school, and they had what was called county recreation. It was a bunch of
Go
games,
on.
mostly kickball, dodgeball, wiffle ball, baseball. It was
All
that.
banned, by the way.
But no, but
today.
there was
Yeah,
arts,
right? You
and,
can't
but there was
play
arts
any
and
of
crafts. But I didn't go to camp where you did. Like it wasn't like Ma, Pa, pheasant for lunch today. Like I picked 4 apples in the orchard because Jesus, I've been friends with you a while,
Man,
and I had no idea.
I was kind of like,
Like-
wow, he lived in this.
Like if the Walking Dead crap happens,
4
I'm just gonna
neighbors?
stand outside your house and
Really?
wait for you to absorb me into the basement.
Just come on down.
Yeah, he knows how to kill, pluck, and
I
grill a pheasant.
we haven't. I didn't miss
I don't think that was the shit.
many lunches.
Right.
I had a lot of lunches.
we do have to address some football stuff.
We have to
on
address
tonight's
some
show.
football
People
stuff.
are getting
Sure.
riled up about
Not just
fine,
Foster.
fine.
Not just capture
Foster
the flag.
gone.
Let's talk about Mason Foster. Mason Foster.
We have to.
He doesn't factor long term. We need a guy short term. And so he could have been that guy, but guess what? We're gonna need some money because guess what? We got a couple guys we absolutely have to
Mason
get.
Foster.
It says less about Mason Foster than it does say volumes about what is still here. I think.
Well, what's still here is Trent Williams. That's the other elephant in the room. Mason Foster and Trent Williams are the news of the day. I don't want to be like a guy who doesn't appreciate what Mason Foster did for us. He played real well at middle linebacker.
He played real hard.
when we didn't have anyone
And you know
else.
what? They always say
And he's a plug. He's a pig. I call a pig. He's never going to be great in coverage, and he's going to be great in the run game. That's a pig.
But
He
it's
gets
also-
dirty. He's nasty.
it's also a favor to Foster to let him go now.
Yeah. As a
Right.
veteran.
Let him go
I
now.
hope so we
let
can
him
recoup.
get picked up by
Right.
somebody else who's
I
going
hope.
to use him.
Well,
Needs him more than we
Listen,
do right now.
we've been talking about
Not
Joshua
a knock
Harvey
on him.
Clemens for a long time, and I know that that's not a first down inside backer, but he can be a second, third. He doesn't have to just be a third. He doesn't have to be a dime guy anymore. This guy is something that you and I have loved to see. I mean, his wingspan is like freaking 19 feet, and he's a huge studly dude, but I don't know if that's the case. But the one thing that makes me feel better, when you said we might need to get that veteran guy, guys, John Bostic has made 46 starts in the NFL. Is he that different than Mason Foster? Listen, they had a competition in Chicago 3 years ago under Vic Fangio. It was between those two as the inside backer position. And our guy right now, John Bostic, had an injury and lost out to Mason Foster.
Board
in
is
that.
agreeing with you.
And I'm just saying, I think they're a very similar type cat, but this Joshua Harvey Clemens guy is something that is going to be important. And Holcomb is who John Tier sat here last week and talked about, who I'm telling you, Gruden did not talk about one draft pick longer than he talked about Holcomb. He loves his 4.48 speed, and this guy, he doesn't have a huge football background. He just appeared, and all of a sudden he was starting within 5 minutes at Carolina for 3 years, became the captain leader, learned the game a little bit. I mean, this is one of those guys that, in the whole football scheme of things, as a rookie, is still kind of learning the nuances. But when you run a 4.48 and you're not afraid to go seek and defeat, I think that's a guy that makes people excited. So, I can't say I'm Sean Down Hamilton. Everyone's talking about. There's a reason for all this, guys.
We have
There's
guys.
a reason why we thought we could trim $4 million and lose a guy that can't cover his own shadow. And I know that's been the gripe with him, but I respect the crap out of him taking on every damn ISO and being a full beast.
And he
for us.
wore,
No,
he
he's
wore
a
the green
beast.
sticker, right?
You're right. He was a beast.
He was.
a beast.
He was a
There's
green
no
sticker
doubt
guy.
about
I'm not denying that. man.
Again, I don't think it says less about Mason Foster than
It's
it does
business.
about what is still here.
Sure.
Hopefully, Mason Foster gets picked up and does what he does somewhere else, what he did here.
And just
Can't
to
knock that, right?
throw a little boring into your lives with regard to the era that we live in, which is the salary cap era. You have to have guys like Holcomb and Harvey Clemens and Bostic. You got to have guys like that step up and play for you, and they gotta be able. You have to be able to have guys like that exceed their salaries. They have to return more value than what they're making, because the guys who are making $10, $15, $20 million a year, you'll be lucky if they give you $20 million of value. So I do think Harvey Clemens is a guy who can return a ton of value for us.
I can't wait to see what he's got.
And I think that the UNC kid has a lot of potential.
Cole Holcomb, baby.
I know. I'm excited about him, but I don't want to get over the moon about him. And I typically
John
don't.
Bostic should make you
linebackers.
feel a little bit better. That's all.
I hope he
And
never
the-
plays.
and
I hope John Bostic never plays.
Yeah, but I know, but I love to have him as
Of
a
course,
backup.
absolutely.
And you know what? He started 46 damn
I know,
times. He was
I know.
a second round draft pick.
We can
This
rely
is
on
not,
him.
This is not like some scrub.
Nope.
This is a solid backup in the league. He started for Pittsburgh last year, the whole year. He started 14 games for Pittsburgh last year. He started 14 the year before for Pagano in Indianapolis. They love the guy. You can see his highlights. He makes a couple plays here and there. He's a bit athletic. I'm not sure what the problem is, that he was a second-round guy out of Florida and never turned into the guy, but I think he's exactly what he is right now. He's teetering between a starter backup in the league, and I think he can give us at least some soundness at the position.
Well, let's talk a little bit before we go about Trent, because the news. I know the news it's for real now.
Stop it, dude.
This is.
If it was your
That
family.
was a sound effect. That's
We
all.
got to announce the
I boo the sound effect. Boo.
arrival of a terrible story.
All right, go ahead.
We've
Go
done
ahead.
this over the years. Things have gone from being something that people wanted to talk about because it was drama and it wasn't really a story yet. This is officially a big-time story. The Washington Redskins are reporting for camp. I guess you could say when he doesn't report, it'll be a big-time story.
He's not reporting.
Is not reporting. This is a big-time story. There's two things. There's the Trent Williams story part of it that is probably the more important part. The interesting subplot here to me is this idea that if he was to report on time, that he wouldn't be medically cleared. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what the deal is. No one does.
That's fattening frogs for snakes,
It's
right
fattening
there.
frogs for snakes. But there's this weird whole medical thing, and then the part of the story where is if he comes and they don't clear him, and that becomes more ammo really for him and his agent. So they're staying away. They're avoiding that part of it, which I think is actually the right thing for them to do. If there's any question about his medical stuff right now, he should stay away, because if he comes and he doesn't clear, it's bad for everybody.
Well, they better make sure that nobody else clears him, if that's the case.
Well, no one else can clear him.
Well, no, I'm
You
after
can.
the fallout.
You can clear him. Just get over there and just turn,
No.
I'll clear him.
No.
We'll clear
turn
him.
left.
We'll basement clear him.
Cough, Mr. Williams.
No.
Like, you don't want to do that?
No,
All right. Well, no one else can.
fair
No other football team can clear him. But here's the deal.
no.
All right.
What I'm saying is, if
I love
it all,
that Ken's
if it all
coming
plays
around on
out
this, though, too.
legally, that he can get away from it. and
That's my guy.
Well, hold on a second. I'm the only guy that has stood here and
He's
said,
not even standing.
I have stood up.
Benjamin's doing a lot of standing
For
right now.
Trent.
For Trent.
But here's the deal. Listen, this dude does
Show
not
off.
want to go through camp. This dude is mad at the medical staff, not the players. He just hooked his whip up with Dwayne Haskins last week on Twitter. The Twitterverse knows this. He let him borrow his ride to chill out. You're not just hobnobbing with a new quarterback who you should be the left tackle for the next 5 years if you're not going to be the left tackle here for the next 5 years. That's right. Little boo-hoo mad at what's going on with the Redskins medical department. Fair enough.
So you
fine
think
enough.
this is just all pomp and circumstance?
I don't think it's pomp and circumstance. I think it gives him an excuse to make a couple more bucks and extend himself so he can clean it. For 4 to 5 more years with Dwayne Haskins, I believe it should be a 2-year extension, if not a 3. I don't care. Age 30, we talked about the cliff at 36. We talked about all the Hall of Fame tackles that have been dominant over the years that I think he's at their level athletically. And I just think this is it's a much ado about nothing. I do believe he's coming back.
Hope you're right.
And for anybody who's paying
All of us-
attention,
But I'm not
you're
mad
right.
about all the negotiations, because that's when the nasty crap happens. When week 1 happens, Trent Williams will be our left tackle. He might have a little more money than you want him to have. I know I'm a little giving in this time and age, but I think that Dwayne Haskins deserves to have Trent Williams right next to him.
Sure.
'Cause
That's
he's the
better for
biggest,
everybody.
baddest dude in the game, and he's a 7-time Pro Bowler, and he is arguably one of the greatest linemen in the history of the franchise, and he should finish his career here and ride off into the Hall of Fame.
We know, and I don't mean to take any shine away from Trent Williams, but we want to make sure we tip our caps to something that's happening live right now. Trey Turner just hit for the cycle with a
Did he
double
really?
in the bottom of the 7th inning. He sure did, and that's
Man,
9-0 over
my
the Colorado
boy, the
Rockies.
Throwback.
Hey,
He is
baseball
our
player.
guy.
high tide raises
He's a
all
natural.
ships. We heard high tide raises all ships
On the
here,
first show.
here tonight. And I'm telling you what, these Nationals are showing a little something. I think the Redskins have that in them. I think we have a little something in us.
Yep.
And I think
I sure hope we do.
I'm not going to talk about the Wizards just yet, but I think that what we're talking about right here is my man Trent Williams. I want him to retire a Redskin. I don't want to see him somewhere else.
Everybody
He doesn't
does.
want to be somewhere else. And let all this crap handle itself. We're too old to deal with this crap now. There's too many things.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at him about a contract because the NFL doesn't give a shit about a contract.
Nope.
Don't say this man signed a contract, he should earn it. No, 70 guys get cut in the next 2 months a day
What-
that had a contract too. It's a dirty game of pool.
A lot of people-
You want to be holding on to that freaking stick when it's all over with.
Yeah.
The people who are most critical are saying, look, you signed a contract, you should honor it, blah, blah, blah. The NFL is about guaranteed money.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's about guaranteed money.
Yes.
The contract
Only.
actually doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So I hope you're right. I think you're right.
I don't know if I'm right. This is what my gut tells me, and this is what I'm going with. And I've loved
It's
this guy
the better
forever.
measured stance that Redskins fans should more often take than the hysteria that we have to freaking deal with every day.
Some of these MFers love the hysteria.
They do.
Hysteria is part of
I
the-
love
is the
Trent
juice.
Williams.
You guys are some
That's
of 'em.
different.
The juice is
Read
the
it right
action.
here.
What's wrong with the juice, baby?
The juice is the action. Well, in this case, the juice is actually.
Well, we're not talking about Oran Juice Jones. We're talking about
no.
Kevin McClinton.
We're talking about Kevin
Apologies.
McClinton. That's right. Sorry. My
I saw
apologies.
you and him walking in the rain.
We are eagerly awaiting Froghorn's arrival for this evening's episode of the Hot Box.
I do declare.
We will be back next Tuesday night talking about things that actually happened on a football field between football players. That should be the name of a show. But until then, he's Kevin Ricca.
And I'm very happy to be here tonight. And thank you guys for chiming in. I apologize for all the stuff that you said I said wrong. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to say it.
He's not going to stop. He's Tim Strachan.
One of the most fun shows I've had in a long time.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
Thank you,
We're
everybody.
getting back into it. We're going to
Thank you for the board. Thank you for everybody, man.
If you guys are commenting on the
Wade,
six pack,
welcome, brother.
all you guys at Hogs Haven, if you
John
could do us a
Tier.
huge favor, tell people in the comment section to check us out on Tuesday nights. We're going to do a better job of posting on the site, but we could really appreciate your help. Let people know what's happening.
Shout out Gus Farrat. Shout out George Michael.
Yeah,
shout out North Turner.
North Turner, sweaty hat. Until next Tuesday night, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was the Audible. Still
Shout out to Jerry, too.
No. I'm not letting you get me in trouble at this point.
I didn't say it.
The Nats
on
are
air.
scoring runs in droves
That was
right
one
now.
of the best stories ever.